Hey guys, what's up? My name is Akshat. I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to solve the 2x2 Rubik's Cube. And this is the first video of my channel, so I hope you like it. And even if you have never touched a Rubik's Cube before, you'll be able to solve one after seeing this video. So let's just jump right into it. So if you're new to cubing and you're a beginner and you've never really touched a cube before, some basics you should know are that the opposite of red will always be orange, the opposite of white will always be yellow, and the opposite of blue will always be green. Now, to help us in solving the Rubik's Cube, we use algorithms or notations, and these are basically a set of moves that help us to do something without messing up the entire cube. So first, let's learn the notations. If you're already familiar with the notations on to help you solve the algorithms, then you can skip to this part in the video. But if you're not and you're new to cubing, I'm going to be teaching it right now. So every time you hear R, that means the right side, so over here. Every time you hear L, that means the left side, over here. Every time you hear F, that means the front side. I'll get to the notations, the actual notations later. But whenever you hear D, that means down, B is back, and U is up. So every time you see a dash next to that letter, then that means counterclockwise, or you can call it U prime, for example. So if we take R, then that would mean R clockwise. But if we take R prime, that would mean R counterclockwise. So if you see here, and we turn this, it's going in a clockwise motion. That's why this is called R. Now for R prime, if we turn it like this, it goes in a counterclockwise motion. That's why we call this R prime. Now for the L side, it's the exact opposite. So this would be counterclockwise. So we call this L prime, and we call this L. We call this F, and we call this F prime. Every time you see 2 next to it, so that just means you do it twice. So like F2, U2, R2, like that. And you must be familiar with it by now, but you would do this if you hear U. And if you hear U prime, you would just do it this way. And there's also the back ones, but that's more advanced and we won't be learning that in this video. But this would be D prime, this way, and D would be this way, like that, like this way. So now let's get on to solving the Rubik's Cube. So to solve this Rubik's Cube, it would be helpful if you knew how to solve a 3x3, but even if you don't know how to solve a 3x3, it's totally fine, and after seeing this video, you'll be able to solve the 2x2. So the first step we need to do is solve a layer on the first color, and that means that these colors have to match with each other, like they all have to be the same, like these both are red, both of these are blue, both of these are orange. I'll be telling you how to do a layer right now. In this example, we solved a side, but you can't call this a layer because the colors don't match up like it did in the previous example. So you cannot move on because your cube will be scrambled if you move on at this point. I'll be using the white color for the first one. So now let's just get on to how to make layers. So whatever color you're doing, in this case it's white, you keep it at the top layer. So you just like find a white piece. In this case, we'll just pick this one, and you make sure that it's on the top layer. So like this, and it should be facing upwards. Next, you want to find another white piece that has a common color to this one. So a piece that has white on it, but it should also have either blue or red. So let's look around. We have a white piece right here. This is green and red, and this one is red and blue. So both of them have red in common. As you can see, there's a red here, and over here also there's a red. So what you want to do is bring it so that the white color is on the front, the piece is on the front, and you want to see where you can put this corner piece so that it will link here. So you want, in this case, you want to put this piece below the slot where it needs to go. So you can't put it over here because it doesn't have blue in common, so it won't connect with blue and make a layer. So you need to bring it over here, because since both of these have red in common, it'll match when you do this following algorithm. So you hold it like this, and white can be facing to the right, towards you, or to the bottom. And you just want to do this algorithm. R prime, D prime, R, D. And as you can see, it has put itself so that it links with this one, and now we're halfway done on making a layer. And sometimes, in the worst case, it can take up to 5 times to do that algorithm that I just showed you guys. But in this case, you only have to do it once. So that's the fastest case. So now we have almost one layer, like I said, and let's look for another piece with white on it. So I see this piece right here. This has green and orange on it. So it's common to this one because this also has green and this one also has green. So we'll bring it below where it needs to go, because since these two are common, it'll automatically get linked, and we'll do the algorithm. So we'll bring the right side down. This one might take a while longer. Then we do D prime, then R, and then D. So if we keep doing the following algorithm, we keep doing it until that piece gets solved at the top with its corresponding common piece. Yeah, just like that. So now we've done 3, and we just have 1 left to go to finish our layer. Now we just have this one left, and it's kind of obvious where it needs to go, which is right here. It's the last spot. So again, it's right here, so you bring it below where it needs to go, and you do the algorithm again. So like R prime, D prime, R, D. And as you can see, we have successfully made a layer. It'll take a bit of experimenting, but you'll get a master. You become a master at making a layer. And now for the rest. You might have a case where there's no piece in the bottom layer, so it's like stuck at the top. For example, this one, it's not in the right spot, so you'll have to bring it down. No matter where it is, make sure it's over here as shown in the video, and you can do R prime, D prime, R, and bring it back up. And in some cases, another bad one will come back up, so you have to do it again. So R, D prime, R. So now it's clear, and you can proceed with the step. So even in this case, when you're making a layer, but this one is not in the right spot, you can do R prime, D prime, R. And it goes to the bottom, and then again you can proceed with the steps. So now that we've solved one layer, we can move on to the rest. And don't forget to double check if you have a layer, because if you don't have a layer, you won't be seeing what I see, and your cube will get fully scrambled. So let's just move on. So basically, what you want to do is just find a random piece on the top. Let's just go with this one. Just pick a random one. So this has yellow, green, and orange on it, and you want to ignore the opposite color. So what I mean by that is, in the beginning, I said that the opposite of white will always be yellow. So in this case, you want to ignore this yellow sticker right here. So this sticker, other than yellow, this piece has green and orange on it. So you want to bring it to the green and orange area on the bottom. So there's green here and orange here. So you can just bring it right here. So as you can see, both of them have green and orange on them. And in this case, it made a block here. But sometimes you might not get a case where it's yellows on the top and you won't get a block. So for example, if you pick this one, it's just, they're the exact same, just that yellow is facing the side. So again, you just ignore the opposite color, yellow, and this has blue and red on it. So you bring it to the blue-red area right here, and you won't get a block, but it's in the right spot. We have to orient it later, but this is what you want right now, because this piece has red and blue, sorry, and this one also has red and blue. So this is what you want. Same for this one. This is also oriented, and the main objective is to get all 4 of them in the right spot, or get only 1 in the right spot. So if you have 2 or 3, that won't work. I'll tell you how to deal with those later, but now let's stick with if we have 1. So if we put it here, we have 2 that are in the right spot, and we do not want 2, we want 1 or all 4. If you have all 4, then you can skip right to the next step, but if you don't have that many, you'll have to do the steps along with me. So right here, like I said, in this position, we have 2 in the right spot, and it either has to be 1 or 4. It can be 2. So if we take this piece and we put it right here, we have 1 here, and all of the others are in the wrong spot. As you can see, there's no red-green here, there's no orange-blue here, and there's no red-blue here. So they're all in the wrong spot except for this one. So in that case, you would do this algorithm, and if you have all 4, like I said, you can move on to the next step. And if you don't have any, or you have 2, then you can do this algorithm anywhere on the top layer. So you turn the top layer this way, so U, then you bring the right side up, R, then you do U prime, and you bring the left side up, then you do another U, and bring the right side down this time, and then you do a U prime this way, and bring the left side down. So as you can see, this remained in the right spot, but all of the other colors, they switched positions. So now you have to check if they're in the right position, and in this case, they're all not in the right position. So just do the algorithm again, and keep in mind that the one that's in place should be at the top right, like this. It can't be here because then it won't work. So it should be at the right. So you do it again, the same exact algorithm. Bring both of the layers up, then put them both back down. And as you can see, in this case, it got solved, so that means all of them got oriented. But a lot of times, your cube will not get solved. So in this case, we have a different example, and don't get confused by it. Just focus on the main basics. So this one's already in spots because we can ignore the yellow, because again, white's on the bottom. So here's red, green, and here's red, green. So this is in the right spots. And this one is also in the right spot. And these 2 are not in the right spot. As you can see, they are not where they should be. So in this case, we have 2 that are in the right spot, and we should have 1 or 4. So just do the algorithm anywhere. So I'm doing the algorithm. You can do it anywhere you want, and now check if there's only 1 that's oriented. Okay, again, we have 2, so we can do the algorithm anywhere. I'm doing the same algorithm that I showed up here. So now we have this one over here. Okay, so as you can see now, this one is in the right spots because you can see this bar. This one's in the right spot because it has green and orange, and this one, these both have, both of these have red and green in common, and this one's in the right spot. Obviously, it's the last one, and both of them have red and blue. So as you can see, we have all 4 that are in the right spot now, so we can move on with the next step. So once you've put all the 4 corners in the right spot, as you can see, all of these are oriented correctly, but we need to actually solve them. You can proceed ahead to the next step. So basically, the algorithm that I taught in the beginning, the R prime, D prime, R, D, that one, we need to execute that algorithm. So basically, you can hold the cube anywhere. Just make sure you don't have a solved one at the top right here. At the bottom right. You shouldn't have a solved one at the bottom right. So as you can see, shouldn't hold it like this or like this. So just pick a random unsolved one which is in the right spot. So I'll pick this and hold it like this, and I'll do the algorithm. So R prime, D prime, R, D. And it didn't solve yet, so keep continuing. R prime, D prime, R, D. One more time, R prime, D prime, R, D, and the last one, R prime, D prime, R, D. Now, to move to the next slot, instead of rotating like this, if you rotate, your entire cube will get messed up. Instead, change the top layer and turn it so that the unsolved slot is now at the bottom right, in the top layer. Then you do the algorithm again. So one time, twice, and as you can see, everything is solved. You just have to align the upper face, and there you go, you've solved the Rubik's Cube. Now I will be showing you guys an example solve so you get a better idea of how to solve the Rubik's Cube using the beginner's method. So let's find a white piece. I'm gonna still be doing white. So we have one right here. And let's look for another one. So I found this one, but it's in the top layer. So like I said, you can do R prime and then take it out and bring this layer back up. So now we have this piece right here, and they both have red in common. So we can do the algorithm. So like R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And as you can see, we've made a block. Let's look for another white piece. There's one right here. We'll solve it up using the algorithm. One more time. And there we go, we've solved it. And now for the last one, we use the algorithm one more time. We put it below where it needs to go, and there we go, we've made a layer. Now we will flip the cube upside down so that the layer we just made is facing the bottom. And now we want to make one of the corners or all of them in the right spot. So let's try this one. It has green and orange on it. So we'll bring it here and let's see if any, okay. In this case, we actually got all four in the right spot, but if it doesn't happen, you just keep experimenting around, doing that algorithm that's right here, don't forget. And in this case, we already have all of them in the right spot, so we can go to the next step immediately. So we put an unsolved one right here because these two are solved. We can't put them in this place in the bottom right, so we put an unsolved one in the bottom place, and we do the algorithm R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D until it solves. And then you can change the top layer so that the next unsolved piece is at the bottom right in the top layer. And then you do it again, the algorithm R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D. And you don't have to do a D, but in case you do, you can just reverse that move, and as you can see, it's solved. And guys, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. Share it with your friends and hit that bell icon to stay notified. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see all of you guys in my next video. Have a cube-tastic day.